Hello and welcome to this episode of the Natural State Update. I'm Christina Munoz. Here are some quick headlines for you. The State Department of Agriculture has confirmed a third case of the bird flu here in Arkansas. The latest case was found in a backyard flock in Arkansas County. The virus can spread easily from wild birds or the equipment and clothing or shoes of caretakers. By the way, the avian influenza is not currently a public health concern. The Arkansas Game and Fish Commission has introduced a new license plate just in time for Christmas. The plate showcases a long-ear sunfish. It costs an additional $35 above the cost of a regular plate. $25 goes directly to the commission and funds educational programming. The license plate program has raised about $18 million since its inception more than 2 decades ago. The president of Oaklawn is shedding some light on upcoming changes to the racetrack and its adjoining properties. Races will be held on weekends only, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, including the Monday of President's Day, and then all Thursdays in the month of March, with several special racing days. He also says there have been several technological advancements at the track, including a new mobile sports wagering app, which is free and can be downloaded on any smartphone. On to our stories for this episode. A book examining a civil rights era murder in Conway was published earlier this year. It shows that abuse of power, a lack of respect for human life, and injustice are not new issues in America. Jason Pederson sat down with the author of Markham Street to learn more about the book's title and its subject.
On May 6, 1960, an EF3 tornado roared through the Arkansas town of Menifee shortly after midnight. The gymnasium where the prom had been held hours earlier survived, but the rest of the town was flattened, including the home of Marvin Williams. The 20-year-old, who had finished high school at age 15, served in the 82nd Airborne, and was a married father of one with another on the way, died that night. But not in Menifee, and not because of a tornado. Williams was beaten inside a fourth-floor cell atop the Faulkner County Courthouse. 25 years later, 2 white officers were tried and acquitted by an all-white jury. I'm in Menifee, inside the Menifee Community Cemetery, where Marvin Williams was laid to rest over 60 years ago. His civil rights era of murder is not the only one that's gotten renewed attention in 2022. The 1955 murder of Emmett Till was depicted in both a TV miniseries and in a major motion picture. And also in 2022, Congress passed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act.
And to say that there was no blood in the cell, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Ronnie Williams was 7 when Marvin died. He says there are some similarities in the deaths of Emmett Till and his brother: the era, the brutality, the lack of justice, and the motive: attention paid to a woman. According to his friends, Marvin had been told by police to stay out of Conway, where his ex-girlfriend lived. That's because another Marvin, Officer Marvin Iberg, had an interest in her. Despite that threat, Williams was sitting in his car in Conway when Officers Iberg and Bill Mullinax spotted his 1953 Chevy two-door Bel Air coupe, pulled him out, and took him to jail.
I don't know what Marvin how he responded to the threats of stay out of Conway. But, Marvin served in the military. I think it served in Germany. He was in the Navy. He trained in San Diego. He had been places, and I'm confident that when they approached his car, I'm confident that Marvin probably said something like, what have I done? That in 1960, just that alone, would get you beaten.
Williams spent more than 5 years researching and writing a book about his brother's death and the decades that followed. It's called Markham Street, named for the area of Conway that was once home to many black-owned businesses and a thriving black nightlife, including the Sunset Cafe, where Marvin was visiting the night he died. While the officers claimed he was drunk, an autopsy showed there was no alcohol in Williams' system. And while they claimed he fell and hit his forehead on the courthouse steps, coroner photos and an autopsy revealed his skull was fractured from a blow to the back of his head. Ronnie put the autopsy photos in the book to put the impact of racism and hatred on display, just like Emmett Till's mother, Mamie, did.
I thought about that. I thought about that. I thought about that, and I thought that showed a tremendous amount of courage on her part to say, the world needs to see this. And I felt the same way about Marvin. If you're going to question the jurors and whether or not they...
You're going to call them out.
You're going to call them out and question whether or not they were there to do the right thing. Well, then you need to show the photos. The book has 4 dimensions. That is my takeaway. It's history. It is healing. It's reconciliation. And ultimately, it's forgiveness.
For the Natural State Update, I'm Jason Pederson.
Thank you, Jason. Ronnie Williams recently retired from the University of Central Arkansas, where for more than 40 years he's served in many leadership positions, including Vice President of Student Affairs. In full disclosure, I worked with Ronnie at UCA, and he is a dear friend of mine, and I personally strongly encourage all of you watching to read this heartfelt and beautifully written book, which I know was a labor of love. The book Markham Street can be purchased on Amazon for $20. And by the way, Jason says be sure to read the 1-page epilogue. I'm not going to give it away here, but it's definitely a must-read. Arkansas has had numerous titles stamped upon it over the course of history. A century ago, lawmakers decided that the Bear State was a misnomer and chose the Wonder State as our new name. In the 1940s, we became the land of opportunity. Today, in a nod to our abundant wildlife, rivers and lakes, delta bottomlands, and forested mountains, Arkansas is called the Natural State. And Jansen brings us the story of an artist who adopted Arkansas as his home and shows you why his love for the natural state is unparalleled.
So people, when they hear my accent, they say, well, you're not from here, are you? And I say, no, I'm not, but I got here as fast as I could.
Artist David Paul Cook is an Arkansan by choice. Born in Wisconsin, many would argue that he has studied the natural state through his artist's eyes like few others.
I have seen many, many beautiful things, and I've spent one summer just painting in the Delta by itself. The Ozarks and the Ouachitas, even the land in the south where the oil derricks are, and the pine trees, Lake Village and all of that area down there, so historic and so southern. You know, if somebody would have said, well, order up where you would like to live as a landscape painter, I couldn't have done better than coming here to Arkansas.
Cook recently shared his journey and his talents with an audience at Chenal Pines in West Little Rock.
And what I realized is that I wasn't very good at living alone. And even though, like a lot of you, I intended to live my entire life and they could carry me out of my home in the hearse, I finally realized that that wasn't going to be.
Even though he's still active painting and teaching art in the community, his move here followed the long struggles and eventual death of Elaine, his college sweetheart who brought him home with her to Arkansas so many years ago, where they raised their family and life was good until it wasn't.
And then my wife began to have trouble with her mind, and we set off on a 7-year course where she went from being a very brilliant nurse to being a person with really no comprehension whatsoever.
Heartbroken and no longer able to care for her, David turned to his art during their final years apart.
And one of the things that kept me sane during that period was my journaling. I used that as an anchor in my life. It was something that I liked to do and something that I could come back to and do again and again and feel like I was accomplishing something.
To open one of Cook's journals is transformative. They number more than 40, a collection of sights and thoughts and quotes, his drawings and paintings next to a hodgepodge of colorful images that speak to him on some level. An exercise born decades ago from a promise to do something artful every day for a few minutes, draw or paint, of course, but also talk to an artist, read an art book, visit a museum.
What began as just kind of a simple listing of what I did for 20 minutes that day blossomed into some of what you see before you on the table. It's an amalgam of my work and other people's work and the flotsam and jetsam of life as it flows along. If you go through my journals, you will see the ups and downs of my life, including my wife's death. And if I didn't have a place to put all of that, I think that my outcome would have been a whole lot different.
Life now is lived in a studio apartment by choice. There's a dining room downstairs where others do the cooking, so his kitchen cupboards have a new mission.
I have a wonderful place to set up my art table, and since I'm not cooking, I don't have to use the cupboards for any kind of food storage. So if you go upstairs and you look at my cupboards, they're all full of art supplies. I wake up in the morning and I fall asleep in an art gallery every day. How good is that?
And from his balcony, Cook has an endless and ever-changing array of subjects waiting to be discovered by his paintbrush and through his artist's eyes.
There's a quote that says, "A life should be organized as a series of great adventures made from a secure place." And this is my secure place.
For the Natural State Update, I'm Ann Jansen.
David hopes his collection of journals will one day be available to the public, and Ann says she's working on making that happen. Thank you, Ann. For all the entertainment options you have this month, let's go to Amanda Horton.
I'm Amanda Horton, Executive Director of Public Appearances here at the University of Central Arkansas. December is here, along with all of the magic and wonder of Christmas. Attending a show with your family is a perfect way to kick off the holiday season, and there are so many this month in our state. Right here at Reynolds Performance Hall, we'll kick off our holiday season with Conway Symphony Orchestra's Holiday Spectacular on December 3rd. The symphony will welcome on stage special guests, the Conway Men's Chorus and the Arkansas Festival Ballet, who will perform scenes from the Nutcracker. On December 10th, we have something for all the Peanuts lovers, a Charlie Brown Christmas Live. This will bring all of your favorite characters to life as they discover the true meaning of Christmas. Tickets are limited, so get yours today. Monday, December 12th, we welcome children to Reynolds at 10 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. for Dr. Kaboom, the Science of Santa. Kaboom! This educational show entertains the audience with comedy, magic, and science, and promises to be a treat for all without spoiling any of Santa's secrets. There are so many holiday shows literally across the state of Arkansas for your family, including in Conway, Red Curtain Theater will perform the classic tale Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Jr., December 10th through the 18th. White Christmas will be performed in North Little Rock at Argenta Community Theater. Little Rock has several options, including the Studio Theater's comedy, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra will perform Ghosts of Christmas on December 9th at Simmons Bank Arena. And Ballet Arkansas will have the Nutcracker Spectacular, the largest and longest running holiday production in Arkansas, featuring live music by the Arkansas Symphony Orchestra and a cast and crew of nearly 400. Another favorite Christmas event is Arkansas Symphony Orchestra's Home for the Holidays, which will feature 4 soloists. The audience will be entertained by jazzy Christmas hits made famous by Ella Fitzgerald, music from the Polar Express, and so much more. A Christmas Story will be performed by the Pocket Community Theater in Hot Springs. And you can head to North Arkansas for a Christmas Carol at Theater Squared in Fayetteville, and just down the road, the $1 Million Quartet Christmas at Walton Arts Center. A few other notable options this month include Christian artists Chris Tomlin and Mercy Me, who will perform at Simmons Bank Arena on December 11th. And the toddlers and preschoolers are going to love Coco Melon Live, JJ's Journey, on December 13th, also at Simmons. One last thing I want to mention is the gift of entertainment. As you are searching for that perfect Christmas gift, consider tickets to an upcoming performance or a gift certificate to your favorite venue. Right here at Reynolds Performance Hall, we have some spectacular shows in the spring, including Amy Grant, the Blue Man Group, the Wizard of Oz, Floyd Nation, and so many more that would be perfect stocking stuffers. For the Natural State Update, I'm Amanda Horton.
Thanks, Amanda. Time now for the latest on all things related to the financial world. Here's Scott Inman.
As we enter the final month of 2022, is there a Santa Claus rally in store for the stock market? We take a look at the possibilities in this week's Fastest 4 Minutes in Finance. Hello again, and thanks for checking us out here on the Fastest 4. I'm Scott Inman. Well, there's only one more month of 2022, and I think we're all ready for this year to be over, at least from an investment perspective. What we would really like is a big rally to end the year and make the wounds of 2022 a little less painful. So what are the chances of that happening? Well, from a historical perspective, only once has December proven to be the worst month of the calendar year, and that was in 2018, not that long ago. There's no other month that you can make that claim for. December has also been positive 75% of the time. It's also important to note that historically, the Santa Claus rally typically occurs closest to when Santa actually arrives. Since 1950, the first few days of December have been fairly flat, with modest gains in the middle of the month, followed by the strongest gains in the final 10 days of the year. Working against the optimistic historical record, though, are two things: midterm elections and year-to-date performance. When there has been a decline of more than 15% from January through November of any given year, the December return on average has been down 1.4%. Also, midterm election years over the past 20 years have proven to be a negative predictor for December returns, down 1.3% on average. Of course, history only takes us so far. What still matters most is the economy and stock fundamentals. And the main influencer of both of those right now is the Federal Reserve. As we've discussed before, we are watching to see if the Fed's aggressive strategy of raising interest rates will bring down inflation and slow down the economy without crashing it. Unfortunately, that crystal ball is still hazy. If you're watching the Fastest 4 on video, take a look at this graphic showing how tighter Fed policy has dragged down future GDP projections. The blue lines are actual quarter-over-quarter gross domestic product. You can see the robust growth of 2021, followed by the first two quarters of 2022 when the Fed began hiking rates. Both were negative, and that led many to declare a recession. But so much economic data has remained strong, including a GDP rebound. You see the first yellow number on the chart indicating projected GDP growth of 1.4% in Q3 of this year. Well, that was the prediction at the end of September. We have now actually grabbed that number, and the revision of it released in November was actually 2.9%, leading some experts to comment this is the strongest recession we've ever seen. That chart, by the way, is part of our Financial Security Town Hall coming up Tuesday, December 6th at the Delta Hotel in West Little Rock. We'll be discussing the economy, retirement, and Social Security. It's free to attend. Just go to getreadyforthefuture.com/academy to sign up. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Scott. Before we wrap up this episode, I want to let you know about something I do every year in case you might be interested in joining. This will be the 7th time I take a group of people from all over the world through the entire Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, in an online Bible study group. It's broken into one short reading every day with one day off every week, as well as an email from me to encourage you and a Facebook group for discussion. This year, we had more than 900 people join us. So whether you've already done it and want to do it again, or have never read through the entire Bible and would like to join us, you can send an email to info@naturalstateupdate.com or comment on this post, and I'll get you added. For as it says in 2 Timothy 3:16, all Scripture is inspired by God and is useful to teach us what is true and to make us realize what is wrong in our lives. It corrects us when we are wrong and teaches us to do what is right. For the Natural State Update, I'm Christina Munoz.